Is this the last lesson? Next to the last. Keeping y'all on your toes. Lesson number 12, that is page number 81. It is 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 1 through 13. And last week we kind of covered 14 and 15. And this week we're going to try to cover all of chapter 16. What happened at the very end of chapter 15 last week? Samuel, I do that too, don't feel bad. I've been doing that. It's hard to keep it straight for some reason in my head. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why, but yes. Samuel told that to Saul. Now I kind of, if you want to say misspoke, last week I said so ends Saul. Not really, but so we're about to see the transition happen here. If we will back up in chapter 15, let's start at verse 33, almost at the end. But Samuel said, and I had it in my head, I told Heather this, I had it in my head that Saul did this for some reason, so I apologize if I said that. Verse 33, but Samuel said, as your sword has made women childless, so shall your mother be childless among women. He said that to Agag, right? And then what did Samuel, the judge, not the king, Samuel, what did Samuel do to Agag? He chopped him up in bits.
I hope he cut his head off first.
Yeah, maybe to spare him some. But what he told him there is that made my blood run cold. I mean, and he hacked him into pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. Then Samuel went to Ramah, and Saul went to the house of Gibeah of Saul. And Samuel went no more to see King Saul until the day of his death. Nevertheless, Samuel did what for Saul? What did we say? Just because you disagree with someone?
If you disagree with someone, you don't have to chop them up into little bit.
You don't have to chop them up in a little bit. Well, he did on that one, but
He mourned for him. You mourn for things that you lose.
yes, especially.
You know you have to lose them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Especially someone who's fallen away.
Especially that. That's the point. Especially for people, because ultimately, can you change someone else?
No.
Not that much.
Not that much. You can help them. You can do everything you can. You can help them to see things that aren't your thoughts and words, but thoughts and words from the Bible. Now that's, in today's society, a lot of people say that kind of stuff. Oh, you can't hate me because of... That's where it gets twisted, right? Christians, people are accused of hating someone else because of their actions. How many times did Samuel tell Saul, do this is what you need to do, this is what is right? A bunch, over and over again. He didn't necessarily tell him what's wrong. Well, it doesn't say I can't do this. That's what people go to in the Bible, even though it does. But he mourned for him. Are we to mourn?
They read it.
Yeah. Well, that's my interpretation of the truth.
Of thou shalt not.
Yeah.
Well, that's your interpretation of
Anytime somebody gives me that argument, I always say, well, it doesn't say you can't run around naked saying hallelujah either, so
Yeah.
why would you do that?
It's interpretation or something. Some churches do that anyway, correct? We put air quotes on churches.
Everybody should now, I guess.
Truth is not relative.
You need to regain control of this group.
Over there, it's y'all. I see. It's only 4 of y'all. The big side's acting right. And the Lord regretted that he had made Saul king over Israel. Does that mean that God didn't know what was going to happen all along? No. But still regret it. Yes, ma'am?
They used to say that, they had learned
Yeah.
I would say, be careful what you wish for.
Yes. And they got it. He regretted all the, yes, he regretted all the suffering. He regretted all the things that he told Samuel to tell the people, such as, if you get a king, he's going to take your sons, he's going to take your daughters, he's going to, use them for his war machine. People are going to die, but
It's like we regret what our children do.
but what
We can't do anything about it.
we can do is, put up like in bowling, you can put those little bumpers up there, and they got all this room, but at some point,
I'll still goes in the other room.
if they throw it hard enough.
Go to Bob's.
Yeah. So, chapter 16, would someone read verses 1 through 3, please?
Now the Lord said to Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I am sending you to Jesse the Bethlehemite. For I have provided myself a king among his sons. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hears it, he will kill me. But the Lord said, take a heifer with you and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Then invite Jesse to the sacrifice. Then I will show you what you shall do. You shall anoint for me the one I named you.
Thank you. So, Samuel is still mourning for Saul.
But God's getting a little tired of it.
He is.
You know?
Samuel has almost been so good that you take it for granted. I mean, he has almost done everything just so perfect all along. You forget somewhere that he's a person too.
He's been set up as the antithesis of Saul.
He is. He's kind of like,
Well, something.
yes, sir.
You work with someone, which was Samuel working with Saul as his advisor,
For a long time.
and he really wasn't a bad person. He just made some wrong choices, which got him rejected and hurt some God people. And it's today, just like we might work around people or be around people, even in church. And they really not just real bad people. They make some bad choices and do some things wrong, but that's not the way God wanted. So they have to be rejected. So, and you might fail for them, but you got to go on.
And he may be doing stuff right 99 times out of 100, but you see the one time over and over again.
Like go way out left field a couple times.
Yeah, just like, why'd you do that? And he's in a position as the king that everybody looks to him. Then, verse 3, then invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you shall do. You shall anoint for me the one I name to you. So what's happening to Saul? What's going to happen to Saul?
He's going to get replaced.
Yes. Verse 4, so Samuel did what the Lord said and went to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, what? Why are they scared? Why do you think? What happened up there in verse? He cut the man to pieces. You think they heard about this?
I'm sure.
Yeah, Samuel did what? But he,
They were told to do that. What Saul was, he wasn't supposed to bring back the king. He was supposed to kill him in battle.
yes,
Right.
Samuel was just doing
what he was supposed to do all along.
Saul was supposed to do. He had to do it.
He had to clean up for him, for the king, even. Some things to take away on that, on verse 4. So Samuel did what the Lord said and went to Bethlehem, and the elders of the town trembled. So the elders are what? Over the town. They're the leaders. They're the overseers. So they're people in charge, right? They got their noses up a little bit, maybe, in town. So somebody, imagine that in our town. Imagine somebody pops in and people around Columbus who are in charge or run things start trembling for whoever comes in. What does that mean? What is Samuel's position still? And yes, he is revered.
Respected.
He is respected, revered, feared even. Maybe it's all of that. Still.
They still know that he is also being dictated by his actions by God.
Yes.
And, oh, that's a trembling that
So,
I can imagine.
yes, ma'am. So that's a very good point. Are they really as scared of Samuel, or is it
Yeah,
fear of God too?
you know, they might get away with stuff in their own little town because they're the leaders, but
Hmm.
here comes somebody that speaks to the man upstairs that knows,
Yep, God speaks to him.
you know.
Yes, exactly. That's my opinion of it. That they know.
Ain't no hiding nothing from this guy.
Yes, precisely. Will someone read verses 5 and 6, please?
And he said, peaceably, I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him.
Thank you. Verse 5, and he said, peaceably. There was probably a collective what? I mean, it was kind of, you can see it. It was built up like, no, I just came to town to talk to y'all and do a sacrifice. Thank goodness, right? So, come to sacrifice to the Lord, sanctify yourself. So not only that, not only am I not come over here to kill you or to hack you to pieces, but I'm inviting y'all to come and be a part of, because if they were to sanctify themselves, they're going to be a part of that. Consecrated who and his sons? Jesse. So that's our new name this morning. So it was when they came, he looked at Eliab and said, what?
I bet this is the guy. He said, surely the Lord's anointed is before me. But I mean, he's thinking, he looks like a king, man. He's the one that's going to do it.
I know what he's here for now. He's not here to kill anybody. He must be here to pick the successor, who's going to be king next. Verse 7, but the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at what? His appearance, his countenance. Do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see what? For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at... That's one of the go-to verses in the Old Testament and the Bible, isn't it? What was Samuel and what was everyone used to seeing now as king?
Oh, big warrior looking king, big Saul.
Give us a king that looks like a king, and we got one. Does he necessarily act like a king? Especially all the time? No. Especially all the time, yeah. So, Heather threw out a big word, antithesis. What is setting up here is we're about to get, or maybe expect, the antithesis of Saul. Expect the opposite. And when I was at Mississippi State, my senior year, I did a thesis on whatever. And my boss at the time raised his hand. I was talking to him while I was working. He's like, "Ooh, can I be your antithesis?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Your antithesis. Can I be your anti?" His whole point was he was going to keep me from doing my work. So, antithesis. So the opposite. That's what
So,
may be expecting here. Yes, ma'am?
so did Jesse at this point know what Saul was, is it Saul or Samuel?
Samuel.
Samuel was
See, it's
there
easy.
for.
He did that in.
But by then, like I think somewhere around in here, you're not really sure. You don't know on which verse, but down in here somewhere, he's knowing.
He's got it. He's
Yes.
figured it out.
Verse 6. So it was when they came that he looked at Eliab. Is that what's? Thank you. That's kind of my question to everyone. He who?
He did. Yeah, that's my question.
Hmm?
I think it's Samuel.
That's Samuel.
That's Samuel.
I mean, I think, according
Well, I mean,
to the
it's-
program.
He looked at Eliab and said, surely the Lord
Yeah.
anointed is before
And
him.
then the Lord says to Samuel,
Right.
addressing that previous comment, don't look at his physical appearance.
There's the
So
reference.
it's
Okay.
I'll buy that one.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Verse 7, for the Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And who said that? Did Samuel say that? God said it. Would someone read verses 8 through 10, please?
So Jesse called Abinadab and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, neither has the Lord chosen this one. Then Jesse made Shammah pass by. And he said, neither has the Lord chosen this one. Thus Jesse made 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. And Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord has not chosen these. You said 10.
Yes.
Okay.
So what's going on here?
They, for sure, is choosing someone.
Jesse definitely knows by now what's going on. It's like a parade of his sons, and we don't know if they're all standing like right beside him and he's walking, or if they're behind, whatever it is, door number 1, and they're coming out one at a time.
I think of Cinderella and the glass shoe and the mother making the 3
Yes.
little snots try to shoot up.
Exactly. It brings that kind of stuff to mind. And we're going to get further down, and we're going to see some stuff about David. But even now, but especially Old Testament, if you had 2 sons, 4 sons, 12 sons, it doesn't matter, who's the father likely to send out first?
The oldest one.
Because who gets the inheritance? Who gets?
The oldest one gets a double portion.
So it's not spelled out here, but who's likely to have been the first one to come out?
Yeah.
And then who? The next and the next and the next. So it's almost like what are those, the Russian dolls?
Yeah.
Where they're, that's what's in my mind. We don't know that. But that's it's almost like, here comes this one, and then it's like, well, this one's a little bit less. Nope, not him either. And the trajectory looks like you're getting less as they keep on coming, and he hasn't picked, right?
And the oldest should be the most mature, the one you've worked with the longest, so
Yes.
you probably think that way. But
And back then, it's his sons are working with him. They work what? They probably work the land. They probably take care of the business. They do all that. So these are, not only are they oldest, but they're the most experienced. Yes.
Jesse was a very godly man to have raised his sons. Or the Lord would not have chosen his lineage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Jesse was surprised that the Lord was coming for him.
No,
Or for whatever it is.
I believe you're correct. But at the same time, so I'm not trying to paint Jesse in an ill light, but it kind of stands to reason that he would be like, oh, you would want the oldest one, the next one, the next one. But we're obviously seeing it's not the first one he picks, it's the last. Verse 10, thus Jesse made how many of his sons?
7.
What a strange coincidence that number just keeps on popping up in the Bible. Maybe it's not a coincidence at all. Verse 11, and Samuel said to Jesse, are all the young men here? Then he said, there remains yet who? The youngest. So we're not told for sure that they came out in order of age, but maybe. But definitely who was left? David is the youngest one. There yet remains the youngest, and there he is doing what? Keeping the sheep, almost maybe like a
Foreshadowing.
like a shepherd, yes. Like a shepherd. What keeps sheep? Once again, I was telling Heather, what a crazy coincidence, right? No, I'm shaking my head. No, that's not a coincidence. That's most certainly a parallel. That's the golden thread that goes throughout the Bible. So David was doing what? Keeping the sheep. And Samuel said to Jesse, send and bring him, for we will not sit down till he comes here. Sit down. My Bible has a a note saying, following Septuagint and Vulgate text reads, turn around, and the Targum and Syriac reads, turn away. So what was Samuel telling Jesse? Jesse said, but the youngest one's still out there. But what did Samuel say to him? Exactly. I'm not leaving here until I see him.
Not even sitting down.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything else. This is what I'm here for. I'm not doing anything else. I'll chop you up.
Basically, what I'm saying, that he was basically telling Jesse who the Lord had chosen.
Kinda. Yeah.
She's the only
I
one
mean, you
there.
haven't chosen any of these, so get the only one you got left.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Where did we stop? 12. Yes, thank you. 13. Then Samuel took the horn of oil. No, I missed it. I'm sorry. 12. Thank you. So he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, with bright eyes and good looking. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is the one. Verse 13. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him. Someone read the rest of 13. Anointed him where? What?
In the midst of his brethren.
The Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah.
Thank you. So David was the one chosen. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. What does in the midst mean?
Right in the middle of all the ones that hope they were witness.
Every one of these guys had come out first, maybe in order of age, but most certainly the older ones, because he was the youngest. So everybody who was older than him came out. And it was like, nope, not you, not you, not you, not you. And amongst all of them, the youngest one of you all, he's the one we chose among all of his brothers. You are all... Yes, ma'am?
Another reason they put him in that pit.
Spoilers, y'all getting way ahead, but yes. So once again, should they have been the king? No, if they're going to do that to him. But that was God's way and Samuel's way of showing that y'all are going to be bowing to him. Now, if we can finish out the chapter first, would someone read verses 14, 15, and 16, please?
But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. And Saul's servant said unto him, behold, now an evil spirit from God troubled him.
Next one to 16 as well, please.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Let our Lord now command thy servant which are before thee to seek out a man who is cunning player on the hall, and it shall come to pass when the evil spirit from God is on thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well.
Thank you, ma'am. So backing up just a second at 13. Then Samuel took the horn and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And once Samuel anointed David right in front of his brothers, what happened? The Spirit of the Lord, yes, came upon David from that day forward. And then Samuel went to Ramah. Very next verse. 14. But it's not good when it starts. But the Spirit of the Lord did what from Saul? So, as we kind of talked about last week, is he king or is he not king? I mean,
He is it in name.
he's king in name.
But the Lord's left him.
But yes. And Saul's servant said to him, surely a distressing spirit is troubling you. So his servants are telling the king again. So once again, we kind of got the king who's supposed to be looking to God, the horse pulling the cart, which is the people. Once again, we got the cart telling the horse, hey, surely a spirit or... So they tell him, what? Let our master now command your servants. They're the servants. You tell us what to do, and you're going to tell us to do this. That's actually what happens here. And seek out a man who is skillful on the harp, and it shall be that he will play it with his hand. When the distressing spirit of God is upon you, you'll be well. So that's the servants telling the king, hey, if you do that, that's going to happen. So someone read verse 17. And what does Saul decide? Hey, I know what I'll do. Someone read just 17, please.
And Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me.
Hey, I know what to do. Do what y'all told me to do. Is he king or isn't he king? Verse 18, then one of the servants answered and said, look, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite. What a coincidence. Wait. No, not a coincidence. I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite who is skillful in playing, a mighty man of valor, a man of war, prudent in speech and a handsome person, and the Lord is with him. How old? How old was David? He was the youngest. We don't have an age.
He's already a mighty man of warrior.
Verse 19. So Saul the king, right, in name, Saul the king. Verse 19. Therefore Saul sent messengers to Jesse. Who's Jesse? Father of David, and his other sons too. Yes, therefore Saul sent messengers to Jesse and said, what? Someone read that.
Send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. You want to read that?
Yeah, read one more.
And Jesse took an ass laden with bread and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul.
Send me my replacement. Did he know that? No.
Not at this time.
Not at this time. But that's what he told him, right? So Jesse the father not only sent his son, but sent what else with it? Donkey and bread and provisions and probably offerings or who knows what. So, and sent them by his son David to Saul. 21, so David came to Saul and stood before him. And he loved him greatly, and he became what?
His armor bearer.
So David became Saul's armor bearer. What was an armor bearer?
Kind of like a bodyguard, a warrior.
What?
Basically the guy that toted the king's armor until they got it out.
Yeah, but at the same time, he had to be strong enough to do all that kind of stuff, and there to protect him, kind of like his bodyguard and all that. But what does that mean? If you're the king, especially, and you have somebody that's there to protect you, how often is that person there with you?
All the time.
All the time. So David.
It was now the king protecting the king.
The anointed king.
Yes.
Like our anointed king protects us.
Coincidence? Think not. So he was there. David was there right beside Saul, right beside the king, protecting him. But since he's there the entire time, is he seeing everything that that Saul does in his day-to-day life, in his routine? Does he see what the king does?
Yes, he's learning all that stuff. I see him.
Day in, day out. He sees everything that he's likely to see, or sees most of the things he's likely to see as king. Someone read verse, where are we at, 22? Someone read 22, please.
And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight.
So Saul, the king, sent to Jesse, the father, right? Please let David, Jesse's son, stand before me, for he's found favor in my sight. What did he mean, stand before me? He was already there in his armor bearer. He was kind of asking what? Let me keep him. Let him live here. Can I keep your son? 23. And so it was, whenever the Spirit from God was upon Saul, that David would take a harp and play it with his hand. Then Saul would become refreshed and well, and the distressing spirit would depart from him. Now, what did we say? The king protecting the king. I told this to Heather, and Heather went, I don't know. Saul's the king in name, but I was like, so David's such a good king already that his kingliness is making Saul look good and feel better. It's rubbing off on him, whether that be the case or not. But as we see God working through this golden thread throughout the Bible. Does anyone have anything else?
Yeah, Father God sent an evil spirit on him.
Because he departed.
Can't hide behind. I don't have enough podium to hide behind to know your question.
When I was thinking about it, I was just saying, okay, God has hedge protection around his, so if he removes it, that shows that person's heart, or, that the evil has some room to move in. I don't know. I was thinking that too.
This may be one of those verses that's akin to God hardened Pharaoh's heart. And people will go to that verse. Why did God do that to Pharaoh and, harden? God did that so Pharaoh couldn't be saved. Pharaoh wouldn't change his mind. That's not exactly what that verse means. It's, yes, God hardened Pharaoh's heart, but because he was convinced against his own will kind of thing. He had already made that choice. That's my opinion on it.
And like she said, the evil spirit could have been the lack of God being in his life.
Yes.
The devil came in.
Yeah.
A place to come in, opportunity.
God doesn't leave people. People leave God. And in the absence of God,
There's a vacuum.
and in comes what? Anything other than God, which is the world, the devil. Out of time. Thank you all this morning. Next week will be the last lesson in our study guide.